Hello, welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name's Sam Bell. Today we are going to focus on seminar number two. Number one seminar sounds like a Chinese dinner. Uh, we focused on what was called generalizations, how sounds and language and your communication functioned, how you acquired it, how you attached the oral motor and the airflow and the sound pressure and the vibrations in your ears and the auditory memory and the tactile memory attached to the thought forms, how they got there, and then how you learned your speech and language automatically just by being in the environment. And we also took a moment to focus on lies of omission. That was a good one. All the stuff that you didn't learn because it was omitted. And then we took a brief tiptoe into neuroscience. So, timing wise, it was what was going on in the environment. Trump's already been elected. He's out there kicking ass. Uh, they're finding money just going for all kinds of stupid stuff. And there's a paper trail, an electronic paper trail. So, this is seminar number two, and I'm just going to kind of give it the general label of Constitution purification. So, when you've been lied to about something and you've been educated about something that's fabrication or a twisting of the truth or complete fabrication, but you don't know it because you acquired this information from sources you trusted, takes a long time, you know, kindergarten, first grade, fifth grade, eighth grade, high school, university, all this stuff gets pumped into your head from whatever geographic location you are, then that's what goes in your head. So you're not going to have, very few people are going to have information that doesn't come from their immediate environment. So it's takes a long time. you know, Oftentimes it takes generations for people to learn different speech and language and behaviors and ways of thinking and ways of doing things. Um, it's kind of a natural thing. It's a very, very natural thing. Okay, actually, it's so natural you don't think about it. You don't think about your air pressure. You don't think about what you're doing with your lips, your teeth, your tongue when you're talking. You just do it automatically. It's completely connected to you inside with resonances and memories, which is very cool. And we do that naturally. So, in the natural process of stuff, we learn stuff by good vibes and bad vibes. It's not that complicated. Excuse me. Good vibes and bad vibes. Good vibes and bad vibes. And bad vibes you could call negative reinforcer. And a negative reinforcer means you give that person something. If something happens to that person, it would be a negative reinforcer. And that means that the behavior that occurred just before the reinforcer, the behavior they exhibited just before you gave them that negative, decreases in frequency. That's the only way you know if it's a negative. Okay. If you give them a whack 'em and the behavior increases, that's a positive, even though you're thinking negative. It's a positive because the behaviors are going up. So there's positive reinforcers and negative reinforcers. Lordy B, there's negative reinforcers, let me tell you. So that's how nature goes, you know. If you're gonna go, sit on a cactus, you're gonna find some negative reinforcers really quickly, right? If you're gonna find a peach tree with fresh peaches there in the shade on a hot day, those are positive reinforcers. You'd increase that behavior. Okay. So there's positives and negatives. Now, okay, that's one shelf. The next shelf up, which is positives and negatives, the faster the positives or the negatives get there, the more powerful it is. So, like, I'm gonna sit on this cactus. Ah! So the negative happens like, instantly. It's like really powerful. Really. And if it's a hot day and you come upon a wild peach tree and the peaches are just right, and you eat some fresh peaches, it's a positive. Okay, you're not gonna pass the tree and not do it. You're not gonna pass the peach tree. So the bigger the reward, the more powerful it is, the bigger the negative, the faster the behavior decreases. Okay, and it's a timeline thing. So, okay, it's a timeline thing. So it goes stimulus, something goes into their head, they hear it, they see it, they smell it, something goes in, they feel it, something goes in there. There's a stimulus, then there's a response. That's what they do. They might ignore it. They might not respond at all, and they're just blah. Or they might, whatever, you know. And then that's called a reinforcer, whatever comes third in the timeline. Okay, listen to me, please. Whatever comes third in the timeline is the reinforcer. Now, you might not even be thinking about it. Nobody in the whole room might be thinking about it, but in the timeline, the next thing that happens is the reinforcer, positive or negative. Okay. So say you're in an institutional setting and you have a person that, was pretty, private and didn't communicate much, and now they've been there for 4 months, and they'll come in and they'll sit down at the table, and instead of making eye contact, they'll just put their head down and not make eye contact because now they're getting the tray of food when they're not making eye contact. So they just got automatically rewarded every day at the same time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for not making eye contact because that was their scheduled time. Okay. And the person didn't have time to get them to do eye contact or oral speech or language or something. Okay. So that's really going to make them reduce their eye contact, their tend to task visually and auditorily dramatically. Super, just take a big nosedive, Just sitting there not looking or listening, somebody puts pudding in your mouth, you're not going to look up and go like that. It's a big reward for them. And it's not on purpose. The person is trying to get the calories into the individual who's failing to thrive. So the thing to do would be track the eyes up to you, give him some response. Hi, Harry. Open your mouth. Good, good, good job, Harry, whatever, Mary, or whatever. And you reinforce increasing the behavior. Okay. Now, it's not complicated. It's not complicated until 2025, baby. So the bigger the reward, more powerful it is. That's rule number one that gets that too. The bigger the reward, the more powerful it is. The second rule is the faster that motherfucker gets there, the more powerful it is. Okay. So if say you're gonna, go get a job someplace and you're a professor and they go, okay, well, it's $200,000 a year. You start out as 20,000 a month and you get a paid vacation, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, cool. Okay. So you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Well, you're cool. You're perfectly cool. Look, honey, you can go to Costco, buy toilet paper. Or they could say, oh, you looks good. We're going to pay you 200,000 a month. Okay. You can get 1.2 million a year. 1.2 million we throw in a car. Okay. and we'll pay you every 2 weeks. You go, oh, thank you. Oh. Well, what if they say they're going to pay 1.2 million a year, but they're only going to pay you every 5 years? Now you're going to work for 5 years, get that 1.2 million, but you have to wait 5 years to get the bread. Same amount of money. You just got to wait longer. And what if they said we're going to pay you weekly? You go, cool. You can make the deposit into my checking account right now, right from here. Or we pay you once a month. That's cool, no problem. Or how about once every 6 months? Yeah, we can do that. Once every year. God damn it. Yeah, we could do. We get a loan on the house. Or what the fuck? Put it on plastic and pay it off when it gets here. They go every 5 years. You're getting once every 5 years. You're going to get the 1.2 million, but it's going to start that. You're going to get it for 5 years in a row. Now you see that time frame, right? Well, professors, smart guys, they're going to go, what the fuck? I want it. I want it right away. I'll take the 300 grand or 200 grand peanuts. I'll take it. Damn it. Okay, so that's what happens to people. There's reinforcers coming out of the woodwork, okay, for history since the beginning of time. And since the beginning of time, if you want to give a negative reinforcer, listen to me. Since the beginning of time, if you wanted to give a negative reinforcer, negative, it could be a rock, it could be a sling, it could be spit, it could be vibes. If you want to give a negative, you couldn't do it digitally and fire 50,000 at one time in, 5 minutes. So the 50,000 people who work for some outfit just get canned right away. It's like, nah, they're signed out of all their equipment. They can't get any of their materials. It's all in there now. All the fraud. That's a good song. All the fraud. So weird, and it's a country where the streets have people that, spent time and risked their lives doing stuff they thought was protecting the Constitution, states' rights, individual rights, you know. While at the same time, the people who were abusing the system were sending bread outside. Okay. Well, Trump just Elon bing, 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 bing. So it's a negative reinforcer happening really fast to a bunch of stuff that's been going on since the 30s. Okay? Big lies. JFK, Bobby, Martin, boys and girls. It's going to make it very exciting because the Constitution is going to continue. It's going to continue in a purified state like it's supposed to. And probably, I'm not wishing it, but probably there'll be some fracturing of the East Coast and the West Coast and the North and the South. There'd be some conglomeration of, woke and unwoke, or I don't know. You know what I mean? So the difference between now and the beginning of time is Elon can go, we got 150,000 people over 190 years old in Saudi, in Tehran or something. Like, what? So they just go, and then it's that the big nipple's gone. Okay. So you have Trump who can go, pow, what's that boxer? The one that was just a good guy, right? He always had this uppercut. Uh, Trump's got that, but also, listen, Trump's got negotiation skills. Just dishing out negative doesn't work. You got to have positive and negative. So before the person gets clobbered with a hook or whatever the hell it is, They should say, do you really want to stick your face near this guy's, reach? Really? Be better to turn around and run. Seriously. So today, literally today, what is today? What's today's date? It's February 17th, 2025. Trump is meeting with Putin in Saudi Arabia. Check that out. It's not this NATO. It's not that. Trump is meeting with Putin in Saudi Arabia. So, from a behavior modification perspective, at the moment, Trump can give out negative reinforcers by the hundreds of thousands or millions in one day, which scares the crapola out of everybody that's been on the take. Hello? Now, if you went into the candy store and you opened the M&Ms, you took out an M&M, and you put the thing back and walked out. That's theft. Look at the thing. Oh, somebody's been in the M&Ms. You're like, well, I don't know who did it, right? So today everything's known. Every single fucking thing is known. You've got people like actual psychics. I can tell you Sylvie Brown was an actual psychic. Her son, Chris, he's an actual psychic. The real deal. Absolute real deal. Christopher. I swear to God. Unbelievable. Or remote viewing, these remote viewing guys, and So consciousness is going through something weird. And so the audience, you and me and everybody else that's out there eating hamburgers and, looking for good food and a good deal. Our consciousness is getting adjusted upwards because we're unlearning some things that we thought were true. And in the process, we're learning that we're actually a lot more than just flesh and blood, you know. A lot of people who have had near-death experiences, they come back, they kind of like all say the same thing. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So now, it hasn't been that long that this, fraudulent over all this money was stolen is they're finding out about it, right? And they're only going through one angle on it. They're not going through all these other budgets. There's all these budgets that are like, puffed up, right? So the budgets that go to places, for like, I don't know, language lessons for parakeets in, Nebraska or whatever, those budgets were all fraudulent. Fraudulent. So all those things, all those monies went to people or organizations that would do fraudulent stuff. And at the moment, those are the same people that the United States has been arming, you know. You don't really have control of weapons once you give them out to, weapons and money. So the United States is being inundated with their own kind of, whatever it is. Money's money. Money does not have a nationality, does it? So when Nixon left office as president, they didn't have like, they didn't have like this computer whiz bang stuff, but there's paper trails for everything. And so there was all these paper trails. So he was convicted. He knew he was going to get, not, he was going to get in trouble because all the paper trail was there. Well, the electronic paper trail for all the stuff that's been going on, it's all international. It's all international, right? Fraud, fraud, blackmail. whatever you got to do. So right now we have negative reinforcers that are coming out like, and at the same time you have Mr. Negotiator who can negotiate a deal. And he's not negotiating with, Istanbul. He's negotiating with Putin, Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Arabia. And other countries like, well, he's like, well, please hold, we'll contact you. So there's a possibility of things changing. There's a possibility, as I've stated before, that the United States fractures a portion, stays a country, and then the other portion breaks away and is based on the Constitution, states' rights, and Bill of Rights, and eventually is led by Jesse Ventura. I've been saying that since 1996. So, and the reason is the United States was going to, quote, collapse in upon itself. I learned that in 96. I'm like, what? And in 96 is I learned that Jesse's going to become the leader of this, it's not a breakaway country, it's like a new country, but based on the original Constitution, states' rights, and Bill of Rights. Hello, like it's supposed to. So you can see where it's going now. The nation's kind of like hemorrhaging with the money's going, what happened? And at the same time, it's like, we thought it was a baby, and you're having triplets. Oh, yeah. It's kind of like, what do we do? So it's hemorrhaging. Tis hemorrhaging. And the negative is coming up big time. And the ability to come out with a negotiator who's intelligent and he's got a little ding in his ear. So he thinks, something I gotta complete before, I book my final round of golf. I'm gonna make this happen. You know what I mean? So now the bottom line is we're going to have to cooperate. And in the process of cooperating, we're going to have to elevate our consciousness. And that just means knowing yourself. When you elevate your consciousness, you're knowing more about yourself, that you are, in fact, a spark of the divine. You're a tiny piece of Mother and Father God. You actually are. Dad, burn it. Okay? So you incarnated. You were before you incarnated yourself using your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love. Three things you can't weigh or measure, or cut out. And you use those things to incarnate yourself. Those things are in you now. Your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love, you're using them right now. And when you kick the bucket, when you die, your body kind of goes blah, becomes fertilizer. That's what goes to the other side. Your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love. So when you elevate your consciousness, the consciousness that's within your physical frame, your bones kind of resonate this consciousness stuff along with your heart chakra. Many of you are going to have this episode where this white light's going to come out of the center of your chest. It's a white, effervescent, sparkly. It's like, wow. Many of you. Okay. It's life changing. So when you have this visualization of a white light embryonic bubble, that you're in an embryonic bubble above you, below you, in front of you, behind you, to the right of you, and all that's left of you. You just in with the white light, out with the any anger, frustration, anxiety, fears. Visualize there's so much smoke or burnt ash. Relax your entire body. Put yourself in the embryonic bubble. Your heart chakra, the umbilical cord that it is to Mother God and Father God, is there. Okay. And it's only love vibes and healing. And you can use those things to help propel yourself into this new society that's going to need a lot of cooperation. Okay. Now, the rule for extraterrestrials, okay, aliens, is don't frighten the natives. Don't frighten the natives. People are like, what's going on? So that's how the game's played. But for actual off-planet beings, it's super unconditional loving. Totally. Super. So it's only these Earth brothers and sisters that play this game as, oh, the monster, you gotta have a war or whatever. So when you elevate your consciousness, you're just ignoring the dribble, the cognitively underendowed and bovine spiritual thought forms that are being spewed at you electrically through a digital screen to keep you from understanding you really are a spark of the divine and you're an eternal being. You are an eternal being. That's the honest to God truth. So, in conclusion, I recommend so you have your consciousness within you, and then non-local consciousness around you is resonating out by your bone structure. Your just bones are like crystals inside there, in the water and everything. So around you, the non-local consciousness also goes into a higher level of consciousness. And what happens is, like a tide goes up and down, all the boats go up and down. That's just the way it is, man. That's the way it is. Ladies, super loving ladies, focus on your loved ones. Close them with the white light of the Holy Spirit. Big time. Okay? Treat yourself in a loving fashion. Now, this is called Civilian Core, something I promote. You can go to this website, spiritualmag.org. In Civilian Core, it's a completely independent. You're just an independent individual. It's kind of like a letter to the universe, but it's designed to be a frequency that seekers can reach up, and it's opening a gateway at various levels for individuals who need assistance in learning to love themselves and others and helping elevate consciousness on the planet. Okay? It's kind of like dowsing. It's kind of like a letter to the universe. And if you're not a loving person, it doesn't do shit. But if you're a loving person, seriously, big power, big wampum. Okay, you and all your loved ones are always in my prayer. Spiritual Mag.